Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Psychosin project here on That Metal Station. Today, joining me, and for something a little bit different from the usual, not someone who fronts a metal band, but someone who fronts, let's call them an aggro rave band, I think is the best way to call them. The one only Vicious Precious Barden from Pretty Addicted.
Oh, can you not say Barden though? 'Cause that's lame.
Yeah, sure.
That's my father's name.
No problem. Well, welcome to the show.
Yeah, what's up?
It's all good, it's all good. She may or may not be drinking. Sorry, they may or may not be drinking. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. I'm definitely drinking.
Is this sort of getting you hyped up for the Marilyn Manson gig coming up?
Oh, I cannot wait. I'm looking forward to that more than my own gigs, so yeah.
And if you know how much Vish looks forward to her own gigs, that's a hell of a lot. So
Oh, it's Manson. Can someone, like, somewhere hook me up with that gig? That would be, yeah, good.
Well, he had Peaches when I saw him supporting, so I don't see why Pretty Addicted can't get on there.
Fucking love Peaches. What happened to them?
No idea. She actually disappeared after that run of gigs, I think. So maybe she's been sort of done something by Manson, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, you released your new album, Magic Of A Lunatic, literally about 24 hours ago, I believe. How's the reaction?
About 23 hours ago.
Oh, well, there we go. How have you found the reactions been?
Good, mostly good. Yeah, to be honest, good. I've not heard any negative shit, so yeah, people are just keeping it quiet if they don't like it, so I'm happy.
I don't think you'll get any negatives, to be honest with you, let's face it.
I don't think people would fucking dare.
Now, why did you choose Magic Of A Lunatic as the title for the album?
Because I wrote the whole album about mental health, and I consider myself a lunatic, but there's definitely so that's where that really came from.
Fair enough, fair enough. Now, did that help inspire some of the songs at all?
Well, that's an interesting question. No, not necessarily where I moved, but the circumstances of life in the last year definitely inspired a lot of the songs, for sure. Life is a constant moving roller coaster, and you end up writing about what's current, and that changes all the time. So yeah, it's a bit of a chaos, as is my life. So yeah.
Well, you're in a band, it's got to be chaos. If it's not chaotic, something's not going well for the band, surely, you know?
Oh, exactly, but let's be honest, I mean, I'm Trent, you know, so, like, I am the fucking band, so if I'm not right, no one's right.
Well, there you go, straight from the band's mouth, as it were. Now, what are you hoping that this album will do for the band?
Obviously, the whole idea is every year you want to be further than you were the year before. I don't really have like a goal in terms of I want to be in this place. You just always want to make sure that at the beginning of the year you're further than you were the year before. And I think that we've done that. You know, we've been offered quite a few good gigs next year that haven't been announced yet. That I won't say that are definitely a step forward, and we've done, you know, tours this year that have definitely got us more fans. So I'm definitely happy with the progression from last year, and that's really ultimately what I want. I've been doing this for 6 years, and every year we seem to have steadily gone a bit further along. So that's really just the main goal. I just want to reach as many people as possible.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard with social media because it's such a limited platform, especially with things like Facebook, where they limit everything and you have to boost it all the time. So it's definitely more limited, and you rely a lot on fans. So with every share, it's really fucking appreciated, basically.
Yeah. Now you said about some big gigs coming up next year. So we got to see Pretty Addicted possibly at Bloodstock, or maybe download the album.
Someone needs to hook that up immediately. Someone needs to fucking hook that up immediately, and we download. Like, I just want to scare some cunts. Like, can I say cunts?
Yeah, it's an internet station, so.
Oh, fuck it, cunt. Yeah, so I don't think anybody has and there's no offence to any bands, but I don't think anyone has really caused offence or shock in a really long time. And I'm not saying that's my whole aim, but I definitely do it without meaning to, and I think it's a good thing, you know. It's a good thing to make people go, did that bitch just fucking say that, you know.
No, I think the only band I can remember sort of causing a shock at download was The Darkness at the first one, because everyone's going, what the fuck were they doing there? They ended up being one of the best bands. So
no, Leotard was a bigger issue than the music, really.
yeah, that was an issue, because I think they had the first band on as well. So First thing, first in the morning.
And anyone who goes on X Factor is automatically fired, you know.
Now, what do you hope people will take away from listening to Pretty Addicted?
Do you know what? I like to think it's not just that we're fun, and I do like that people think we're fun, but we do definitely have a message. There's definitely a lot of emotion and a message there. It's not just about dance beats and sticking it to the man, let's say, with a massive middle finger, because there's a lot of emotion, a lot of intelligence, dare I say, a lot of definitely meaning to everything I do. There's nothing just done to piss people off or anything like that. So I'm just a real person, and I like to think that my music reflects my realness. I don't want to fit in or try to be acceptable. I just want to say what I have to say in music form. So I like to think that people who feel the same way or don't feel like they can speak that way and want to hear someone that says that can go, fuck yeah, this is what I want to say and can't say, or I'm inspired to be myself because of this. And you know, we're very LGBT friendly, we're very be your fucking self, we're very like don't worry about what anyone else says, you know, who cares if you're bullied or you're weird, you know, be that shit, you know. And it's important because I idolized people that were odd when I was younger, and I want to do that for people that are growing up now.
Yeah, I mean, you said about being LGBT friendly, you sort of said that straight up, and I feel that is something that a lot of bands need to come out with a lot more a lot more vocally, as it were, because a lot of bands probably are, but for some reason they're a bit scared of admitting it. I mean,
well, everyone. The problem is now is everyone's putting a label on everything, and everyone's there's a lot of people doing things for attention. There's a lot of people trying to ride the media wave and the publicity wave. But the truth is, like, everyone is the same, and LGBT people still suffer with discrimination, especially in the alternative community, which is really fucking sad. People need to say outwardly, like, these people are welcome, not because they're better, but because they're the same. And you know, we've had people in the band who are gay, who are bi, who are trans. I mean, I'm genderless. We've got lots of different types of people on the scale, and who fucking cares? Like, ultimately, I just want us to all be the same. It's ultimately about the music. It's ultimately about what I'm saying, and it's ultimately about the fact that I want to create a space where people can just be their fucking selves without prejudice, without worrying about what people think, because I could not give one shit what anybody thinks, you know. But at the same time, obviously, I want people to like it. Yeah. And I was nervous when the album came out yesterday. I was incredibly nervous.
Yeah, you did put up a fair few statuses about that on Facebook.
Yeah. I was fucking nervous. You know, you spend 8 months making something, you pour your blood, sweat, tears, and soul into it, and you want people to like it. There's no denying that. But at the same time, if they didn't, I know that I did it the way that I wanted to, and I'm proud of myself no matter what. But you do want ultimately people to like it, because it's something that you poured yourself into, and you want acceptance. It's a psychological thing. But yeah.
So it's basically a Pretty Addicted gig. It is a space for everyone to enjoy it, no matter where they come from, and occasionally dress up as the Hitcher from Mighty Boosh.
Damn right! You know, I mean, my dad comes to my gigs. We've got people's parents coming to our gigs, bringing their 14-year-old kids. I don't believe we're offensive. Offense is taken, not given. And people find us offensive, that's their prerogative. And then, you know, like I say, parents come with their teenagers and they're not offended. And I could do whatever and they still think it's cool. So it's definitely taken, not given. And I'm not trying to offend, I'm just being myself. Like, I just naturally am the same way that I am in person. And some people find me offensive and some people find me hilarious. and I'm just honestly being myself. That's ultimately the thing. Like, there's too many people that want to be accepted. They want to be in a box. They want parents to find them okay, or they want to be in secular industry, and I don't care. I just want to get all the shit in my brain out in music form, and hopefully people like it.
Indeed, that is what leads to the best musical art. I mean, it worked for Bowie, it's worked for Manson, now it's working for yourself, so, you know, it's all good.
Prodigy are my ultimate inspiration, apart from Manson, equally, to be fair, because Prodigy was so punk as fuck, even though their music was dance music. They gave absolutely zero shits. They they just live life, and they still live in life, and you watch them and they enjoy everything that they do. And the same with Manson. He doesn't care that people say he was fat or he was shit in this one year or he forgot the words to this. Like, people forget that people have problems and emotions and lives. They expect you to be perfect all the time. And the best artists for me are the ones that are not perfect all the time. They're just fucking real. They just go out there and they do the best they can with the situation they're in at that moment, and they still fucking own it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no band who is flawless in their catalogue of music, and if they are, something's seriously wrong there, because
it's almost choreographed or rehearsed, and if that's perfect all the time, you're just like, meh, I've seen it, it's cool and everything, but I could just theoretically listen to the CD and get the same vibe. I'd rather you fuck a little bit, but you're jumping around, out of breath, owning the stage, giving a good show. You know, Limp Bizkit are good at that, and Slipknot are good at that, and Manson's great at that, and punk bands mainly are great at that, and Prodigy's good at that, and Diane Wood, and bands that just like ultimately do it for the right reasons for them without wanting to fit in a fucking box.
Yeah, which is something you definitely do not fit into a box. Because I mean, I've called yourselves Aggro Rave, which is something I thought of very randomly last night. But obviously you've been sort of called this, that, the other, genre wise. I think you know what? I think we'll just boil it down to It's Pretty Addicted and leave it at that from now on.
It's true. My dad's always called us punk, and I never got it until recently. And I was like, because I assumed that it had to be about the instruments, but punk is the attitude. And I've always wanted to make dance music. So dance punk is the thing that we say these days because it kind of makes the most sense. But realistically, I've got on the new album. We've got trance influence, we've got 90s influence, we've got alternative influence, we've got obviously Maria Brink from In This Moment's a big influence vocally for me. So the music and the vocals don't necessarily make a lot of sense, but I love all music and I want to put it together in a massive thing. And I don't want necessarily to fit into a genre, because then you're pigeonholed and you can only play certain shows and they don't want you because you're this and that. And it does upset me sometimes because dance magazines say won't put me in because I'm too alternative, and alternative magazines won't put me in because I'm too dance. And it's a little bit of a battle, but I'd rather live one day honestly than 1,000 days dishonestly.
It's a bit weird that like alternative magazines won't have you when they've got bands like Covenant and VMV Nation who essentially are pretty much dance with slightly gloomier vocals than dance music would have.
They're still in a box though. Like there's a synth pop box, and unfortunately for them, I feel like there's a ceiling with especially with industrial music that I don't like to be associated with. In really, because there's a ceiling. Yeah. You know, there's like Combi Christ reached it, and they didn't know what to do, so then they turned to metal because there is a fucking ceiling. That's the highest you can go. And if you put yourself in a box, you can only be as good as that genre will allow you to go. Whereas if you are your own thing, then the sky's the fucking limit, you know. And some people won't get you, and some people will love you, and that. But at least you have your own journey that you can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, definitely. Now you've got a very strong sort of visual aesthetic to the band. Was that always kind of what you wanted from the start, or is that just something that's come up naturally throughout the last few years?
Oh, I've always been like that. Like I've always dressed like a massive weirdo. You know, that's not like a purposeful thing for the image for the band. I've always worn crazy makeup and crazy outfits and dressed like Mickey Mouse, and that was even before the band. But I definitely go for more of a cartoon thing live, because then it's got a specific thing on stage and I've got a specific thing off stage, because then it's separated almost. But for sure, like, I've always been this way, and that's not a calculated construction for the band. That's just me.
Yeah. Now, people who have been following you on Facebook, I hate using the word following because it sounds slightly creepy.
You can follow me.
They all know you're a big fan of 90s rave, obviously Marilyn Manson. You've said that just a few times. And some of the cheesy 90s pop stuff, such as Wigfield, I believe you went and saw a couple of months ago.
Mate, I'm all about 90s.
So, just wondering, will there be a covers album or maybe an EP of your favourite songs given the Pretty Addicted treatment?
Well, I have actually covered Rhythm is a Dancer by Snap. I haven't released it yet, but I've played it live.
Yeah.
I need to tweak it and master it before I publish it. But I absolutely fucking love 90s music. It's where my heart is at. It's just, I don't really believe anything original has come out of the 2000s. Like,
no, everything post-90s has been, post-millennium has been very sort of heartless and soulless. Since,
even my favourite bands that are DIY now, they get their influence from 90s bands, you know. Yeah. Even rock bands that I like, they get their influence from 90s rock and things like that. You know, 90s had its own original style. It was unapologetic, it was innocent, it was emotional, it was euphoric, it was dancey, it meant something, it made you feel anything, even if the feeling was good or bad. Like, it just automatically made you feel. And to be honest, anything since like 2005 is just either a rehash of old things or emotionless.
Yeah.
And I mean, I grew up on my dad got me into Fat Other Land when I was about 6, and I never looked back. Experienced it again. And I mean, Sash and Two Unlimited and these kind of bands, and then obviously Manson, Eminem, anyone in the 90s really. You can play Be Anything down to fucking Venga Boys, and the fucking 90s they owned. It was its own thing. You hear it and you know automatically the genre, the era, the style, the feeling, and everything since then has been uninspired, really. So I'm never gonna not take influence from that era.
Yeah, I mean, you said Fat the Land was shown at you when you were 6, making me feel old now. So
I'm 30 nearly, Jesus.
I'm 35, so I'm heading towards the 40.
No, people never believe I'm 29, but here we are.
Now, back to the new album. Were there any songs on there that you found to sort of end up being a bit harder to write than any of the others?
Yeah, all the songs about my last relationship. We sort of broke off around the time of writing them. And I mean, he killed me. He really killed me. And I feel like the way as an artist to get emotions out is to write about it, and then you can immortalize your feelings in that song and pass it along to someone else, so they can feel something for it, and then you can let it go. Really, that's the only way to really deal with it. And so those songs at the time were really hard to write.
Now, but on to something a little bit happier for people who haven't seen you, like myself, for reasons I gave just before we started the interview. What can people expect from a live show?
It depends what the age limit is and whether the city is. But Leeds, for example, is always a bit mental. I mean, I joke about alcohol and stuff, but I'm always drunk at gigs not because I need to, but because it's fun. Like, I'm a child at heart, you know. I like not being paralytic, but I like that barsy feel from being around friends and having alcohol on you. And there is a line, of course, but just having a good time, because we're not here for a long time, but we're here for a good time, you know. And music is a way to bring people together into feeling happy. And I don't believe in being serious and taking I mean, I take business side of the music very serious, but I don't believe in taking yourself seriously. We're all a joke. We're all a cartoon character of ourselves. We're all ridiculous, and own it. Stop taking yourself so fucking seriously. Stop worrying about sounding immaculate, and worry about the show that you give with your soul, man, you know. And I'd rather you be a bit shit vocally, but give me a show, than stand there and be so rigid and worry about being no perfect. Because that's not what life's about. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, this is a big problem in metal itself. It's why I'm glad.
Definitely.
It's why I'm glad bands like Psychosin are starting to get bigger. Along with Devin Townsend has now got to a huge level, and I've seen him live, and he does not take himself seriously whatsoever. So I'm so glad that bands like this are coming up, because we're missing that sense of fun in metal again.
Even bands like Slipknot, I mean, people slag up Corey Taylor, but they can say all they fucking want. You know he's got the goods to back his shit up. You know? So you can hate all you want, but he's awesome. Every show he does, he delivers. He's one of the few artists that managed to be note perfect and put on a show, which takes years of experience. I'm still not nearly close to that. But you know, you can't. Anyone who stands still in their little box, you know, that's not I don't want to see that. I could go home and listen to a CD, have a drink with my friend, and not pay anything and have the same experience. I want to see a show, man. Rob Zombie always kills. Manson always kills. You know, these kinds of bands that put on a real show. Like, I want to see something that blows my mind. I want to see something that scares me, that arouses me, that makes me go, whoa. I want to go home inspired and be like, I want to do that. Gary Newman killed me when I saw him. He was awesome.
Yeah,
the best I've ever seen.
That shocked me. I was not expecting him to be that amazing. Because I think I saw him about a week after you, didn't I? Because he played Southend, was not expecting him to be that good, I'll be honest.
he meant every fucking thing that he did on that stage. Every word, he came out with pulling shapes, and every move he pulled, he fucking meant it. Like, and he did it for the right reasons. He was in love with being a performer, and I walked away feeling incredibly inspired by him. You know, Chris Corner, the same, IMX. These artists that you're just like, you leave feeling something. And even if that feeling is disdain, at least it's fucking something. Like, I'd rather make you hate me than make you feel like, oh, I've forgotten it already.
Yeah, it's not a good gig if you leave apathetic, as it were.
No.
So, now going back to the beginning, how did the idea for Pretty Addicted come about?
I mean, it wasn't serious at the beginning. It was me and this guy started the band. He's not in it anymore, and we both wanted to just hang out, get fucked up, and make some music, because that's what we were about. We're from London, you know, and we made some tunes. We got drunk a lot, made some tunes, and then all of a sudden I started to take it seriously, and he didn't, so I started doing it on my own. Yeah. It really was just a laugh at the beginning, and it's still a laugh, even though I take it very, very seriously, and it is everything I live and breathe. It is still a laugh. Like, I still love when I see people dancing in the audience, when they're fucked up, they're living life, they're singing back at me, they message me that the songs mean something to them, but that it made them feel good, because life is so shit that you need someone to say something that makes you go, do you know what, it's not so bad, or I can get through it, or it's shit, there's a fun moment somewhere, you know, you have to find key things to get you through day-to-day things, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this is part of the reason I'm more than happy to play yourselves and support Pretty Addicted, because I can see you are working your balls off, as it were, to get this band as big as you possibly can, and putting, like, blood, sweat and tears out there on stage every night that you're playing. So I'm more than happy to support that, as opposed to another band who's just going through the motions, thinking they're going to make loads of money one day. That's not for me.
The dream really is to break even. That's the dream. That's the dream, really. I mean, the ultimate dream is to not have to have a day job at the same time. That's really the dream. Like, to be fair, like, I just want people to like it and to get something from it. And when people come up to shows and they give me little gifts and they write me cards saying, oh, this song got me through this time, that means more than any money could ever fucking mean, you know. And the fact that people know I suffer with mental health, and they do, and that my songs help them with their mental health, that's, when I was a kid and I didn't, and I looked at bands that helped me with that, the fact that I can do that with them, it's amazing, and I'm grateful.
Excellent. So, what is next for the band now the album's out?
I just want to fucking gig the shit out of life. Next year, we didn't gig enough this year because we've had drummer problems, and we've still got between drummers. But no one cares. I've come to realise that no one cares. When the right drummer comes along, we'll get him. In the meantime, me and Harry are just gonna gig as much as possible and take as many gigs as we can, and just make sure that we're progressing constantly and that people hear about us all the time, and hopefully just do great shows and get better and reach more ears, and that people still continue to like us. I'm really quite, despite appearances, I'm quite a humble person. I just kind of want people to just have a good time and find something in my music that makes them feel good, or makes them feel something, and have a laugh, man, because life is so fucking depressing. Why not just have a laugh sometimes?
Exactly. I mean, hopefully I can get that festival put up about last night happen next year. If not, I will at least arrange for you to come down and play a gig here in Southend.
Yeah.
That's,
send me a message and we'll sort it.
That is an aim. That is an aim.
One of my dreams for next year is to play Germany. I feel like Germany would get us. I feel like they're crazy enough to get us. The ultimate dream is to play Japan, because I think they're the only place that's weirder than me.
I think Japan would love you on a level you would never know, to be honest with you.
I really want that to happen. I really want that to happen. And also, I mean, I just keep doing things and living the dream. Because it's all part of, like, this is the life I chose,
yeah.
And I just want it to do as good as possible, really. And I want to make sure that I made the right decision, and you know, I didn't work in an office 9-to-5 job, and I want to make sure that I do the best I can with what I've chosen.
Yeah, trust me, you're not missing much not working in obviously a 9-to-5 job.
I don't miss it.
Now, who would you love to have as a guest on a future Pretty Addicted album? I feel this has already been answered, but...
well, as a guest, I mean, obviously, if I could do anything with Marilyn Manson, I would die dead right there and then. Prodigy, fucking... Do you want Deadmau5?
Oh, yeah.
Fucking Deadmau5, like, or Paul Van Dyke, or something really. I mean, Chance is my first love. It had to be its most first love. Diane Wood, MSI. In this moment, I love her so much. Rob Zombie. Anyone fucking outside of their box that accepts weirdness. There's a lot of rigidness, I feel like, in the music scene now. Everyone's like, wants to look perfect, wants to be perfect, wants to be accepted, and there's not enough fuck this, you know, in the music industry.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Now, you keep in constant contact with your fans, who you've lovingly dubbed as crackheads. Have you found that social media has been one of the best ways of getting the band's name and music out there?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, I wish we didn't live in a world where social media was so important to success, but it is, and the game we've been given, we have to play it. You know, Facebook limit things, Instagram limit things. You have to find other ways to get around it, like mailing lists, and you know, Twitter's rubbish in the short. But you have to work. It's, you know, don't hate the player, hate the game, but you have to work it.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for social media, people wouldn't have heard of us. So it's important that crackheads share things. They tell their friends. They spread the word. Play the stuff. You know, share the downloads. Constantly comment and like on the PA stuff, because it gets more traffic. It's a business. Unfortunately, a lot of success is down to the angled times you put things up, the interaction, the boosting, all these things that you have to be willing to do. And I see a lot of new bands failing because they're not up to doing all that. And unfortunately, that's what we are in this 2017 life. You know, back in the day, a label picked you up and they did all that legwork, and now you have to do it all yourself. But you either do it or you don't, and you risk that success if you don't.
Definitely. I mean, you talk about a label there. You've sort of kept the band very DIY approach with touring and releases, promotion, etc. What was it that made you decide to go that way? Because surely you've had label interest by now, I would have thought.
Yeah, without going into too much of a story, we did have a label once, but I definitely have never received a penny from them, so it made me very wary, and I realised that if you don't offer me something I can't do myself, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So keep doing DIY till you die, until you get an offer that is something you can't do for yourself.
Definitely.
And that's the thing, because if you can do it yourself, it just takes a bit longer. Do it yourself. Don't be giving loads of your money over to somebody else, because there's so little to be made at this stage. You don't want to be handing any of it over unless it's something that they go, we're going to put you on this tour that's going to really help. Then don't bother.
Yeah, and I know there is one or two labels that I've heard of. Not going to name them for obvious reasons. I'm already in the shit with one of them as it was. That's probably. It's probably given away where it is just by saying that, because people know there is a certain record label who hates me. Unfortunately has my favourite band on there, so it's kind of bugged me a bit. But I know there are bands on there who, just because they don't have to be as big as Nightwish, just aren't getting the support they need. So really, labels are dying off because they're just not doing their jobs properly. So you've definitely made the right decision there.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, finally, have you got anything you want to say to your fans, or, as I should say, your crackheads?
Yay! Well, thank you so much for everything for the last 6 years. Like, I would not have been half as far without you guys. Keep sharing the album, keep showing your friends, please pay and download it. If you like it, just pay. If you like a few songs, just download and pay for those. You know, every bit helps. If you play something more than once, just pay that £1, because it helps DIYs get a bit further along. It's quite disheartening when people stream, because we can't progress without that financial support. And yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Shout to our gigs. I love you eternally. You guys know that. And fuck shit up and leave.
Their new album, Magic of a Lunatic, was released yesterday. I recommend you all go check it out. Vicious Precious, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go back to my really bad, uninfluential drinking. I expect you to all go grab a drink and do the same.
I may very I may very well do that myself, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Vish, all go check out Pre-Edited.
I turn to